And welcome back to the Golf Intervention Podcast. It is springtime in Virginia. The sun is out. The pollen has dispersed. The leaves are on the trees.
It's awful.
I smacked myself in the head with a driver today and bled for 2 hours. Never missed a beat in any lesson.
Never missed a beat.
And on today's episode, we'll discuss that. And
how not to do that.
How not to do that. And we will also cover 3 misconceptions that I'm seeing with golfers, probably major misconceptions. Robbie's got 3 major misconceptions. I don't know his. He doesn't know mine. We're going to discuss those today. And hopefully you, the golfer, can learn from those to help you play better golf in 2025. So thank you for tuning back in to the Golf Intervention Podcast. So Raphael's, you and I were just discussing a couple things, including you just wrapped up a golf school. Must have been pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's that time of year. People are learning about golf.
People are fired up. The Masters just finished, and the weather's getting good. And it's kind of like that. Virginia is an interesting state because it does give golfers that sort of trigger. It was like, oh, okay, now it's time to go play golf. Whereas, in Georgia and Florida, it's just a normal thing all year round. Whereas in Virginia, right, you put the sticks away for a little bit, and then, boom. Now we're off and running, and we are busy.
Oh, yeah. Man. Crazy busy. And so that's why we probably haven't been as consistent about recording, although, Easter and traveling and some stuff is going on. But we have lots of things to say. I kind of wanted to do a whole episode on the Masters final round, which we will not do. But there was things to learn there. And I know I am not on the inner sanctum of Rory McIlroy's team, nor would I pretend to be. Oh, but man, I am the biggest Rory fan, and we all watch. I tell everybody I needed
not want him to win that. Yeah,
I needed resuscitated 3 times during that round. I literally died on the couch and like, Daddy, are you okay? I mean, call 911. Like it was that bad. But I think there's things we discussed here that I just Rory, you're right there. But hopefully the monkey is off the back now with Rory, and he will play great golf. Hopefully this freed him up and. I mean, he could play golf as well as anybody that's probably ever played the game. And so, hopefully he kind of gets over the hump because I know I want him to. So anyway, chit-chatting about that. I did bang my head today. I mentioned that. So I guess I'm only leaving out there. I will say this. I am many things, good and bad, right? One of them is not clumsy. Like, I don't fall. I don't slip. I don't drop things. Like, I was thinking, I've never broken an iPhone screen in my life. I don't drop my phone.
That's pretty
trip
impressive.
And fall. And those things. Like, I'm just not clumsy. And I don't know if you'd call this clumsy, but I was kind of holding the club like a baseball bat sort of in my hand. We were testing drivers. And I had the driver like head up in the air, like near my head. And then the grip was pointed towards the ground. I was holding it like a baseball bat. He asked me a question, and I went to show him like it was actually about baseball. Like, oh, how did my baseball swing affect this? And I kind of made this like quick motion, and the grip must have bounced off the counter, and it slammed the club, and it like knocked me, and my ear starts bleeding. And as we learned this past summer, ears bleed a lot. Okay, like ears bleed, and that is true. I bled for 2 hours, like holding it to my ear.
Good Lord. So safe to say that was not the peak of your athletic history in that moment.
No, I was like, I will tell you, I never missed a beat. I taught boom, boom, boom. I sat impressive. For 2 of them though, and they were very
what
nice.
A guy.
My next 2 lessons were like, do you like go somewhere? Like, no, I'll be fine.
Go to the hospital.
I'm like, I don't have time to bleed. I don't have time for concussions. You're coming over the top, but we can fix it. It is time.
Expect nothing less, though. Expect nothing less.
This is just teaching golf can be tough. I mean, people realize.
It's a contact sport, man.
It's a contact sport. But that brings me to the topic of today's show, which is common misconceptions. And I think that this time of year, we're teaching so much, right?
Yeah.
You're just turning over student after student after student, lesson after lesson after lesson. And every time you're trying, if you teach like Robbie and I teach, you're actually trying to gain an understanding of what their understanding is, right? Because you're trying to go on this journey together to play better. And one of those things is you're trying to understand their intentions and what they're trying to do to produce golf shots or score better, whatever they're trying to do. So a lot of times we're gaining we're asking them questions and we're gaining insights into what they think. And these are things that obviously none of this is making fun of people. It's just like people think things and it can hamper their development, right? So I was thinking about today's episode and I thought, okay, I'm seeing all kinds of misconceptions that we pick on a little bit on this show, but I'm seeing all kinds of things that are holding people back. And so I thought, let's do a show where let's talk about the things that we're seeing on our lesson tees that are probably holding people back just from a misconception standpoint. Because we don't need those constraints, man. We need to free ourselves up from what's holding us back. And I've said it for a long, long time. For my game personally, it was addition by subtraction. Because the more I learned about what was right and wrong and what didn't matter and what was relevant and what was irrelevant, and what was kind of BS and what was old wives' tales and what was things caddies whisper to you when you're playing bad, and like what was actually real, was actually real. And as we sorted through that, I just got better, just kept getting better because I wasn't chasing my tail through these misconceptions. So I would say that I'll start us off on this one just because I'm already rambling. But the number one, I'm not going backwards. I'm going to say number one for me.
Yeah.
Is that when people have ball flight issues, I feel like they put way too much emphasis on the shape or the direction of the swing, what you might call influence of path.
That was my number one.
Well,
God. My number one was literally people are directly equating the shot to the swing.
Yeah. And I would say that I would say I'm a little different than that, but it's the same
problem. Yeah.
But even in that, let's say in the skill of ball flight control, like every time they hit a crooked shot, they think it's the swing shape.
Correct.
Or the swing direction. When a lot of times it could be the club. I mean, most of the time, the club face. All the time, the club face angle is way more important.
Correct.
Remember, I have a head wound. It was a little tricky. We're going to spit this stuff out. So let me say this again. If you didn't go back to the show we did a few episodes ago, 4 or 5 episodes ago on the ball flight loss, which was really detailed on the science of what makes the ball go where it goes. And we went through the stuff that's really matters. And the curvature of the shot, really, assuming center contact, assuming good contact, decent contact, is influenced by the direction the club is moving, which is the path, and then the face angle and impact, right? And the face is just way, way, way more influential than the path. So if I'm hitting one and I'm hitting it to the left, the student, a lot of times, first instinct is just to try to swing to the right.
Right.
But if it's a closed clip face, everything gets worse. Are you seeing similar? I know you said it's your number one too in the same vein. So have you seen some of those recently on the lesson tee?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it comes more from a judgment thing. Is like, oh, that was a bad shot, which means that was a bad swing. Right. And so then the question becomes, all right, well, what's the solution to bad swing? Right? Like
change swing.
Good swing, right? So what is that, right? So it's not anything tangible, it's not anything objective, it's not anything fact-based or measurable that you can actually learn from. Right? And so a lot of my day is spent getting people to use skill differential training to disassociate the swing, their perception of what a swing is, from the shot, because the differences in the shot are the skills, right? And the differences in the skills are really, really, really small. Where the bottom swing arc is in space, the face to path, the speed, like we've talked ad nauseum on this podcast, the differences in them are really, really small, right? And so that is the majority of what I see, and it just creates a lot of anxiety because you have this belief that if just the tiniest thing in your swing is off, it's going to create a quote unquote bad golf shot, right? And then it creates this, like we said before, this constriction of space with longer, widespread, more personal consequences. Right, so it's very destabilizing with your confidence. It doesn't feel good. You don't tend to learn as much, again, because you're just judging as good or bad. You're not actually giving yourself info. So it's a downward spiral that I see a lot of folks have. I mean, I just had one earlier today where it was, oh my, I feel like I've lost my swing. The swing was no different than he's been for the last 2, 3, 4 years that I've been working with him. And it's like, okay, first question is, where is the bottom of your off swing? Do you know? And he was like, it could be here, it could be there. I was like, all right, hold on, time out. Right? This is the first step. You need to know what your tendency is with skill number 1, right? Why are we worried about our golf swing if we don't know where our tendency is with that first skill, right? So we went through it, started hitting some better shots, and I kind of tricked him. I was like, because we were doing some differential training, and he got his bottom of the swing arc a little bit further back, a little closer to him. So it was getting it off the heel, essentially. And he hit one on the sweet spot. And I was like, how'd that swing feel? He was like, oh man, that one felt great. That swing felt, I was like, bad news bears. It was the same swing.
It was the same swing. Yeah, it wasn't
right.
Different.
And so then I just saw his shoulders kind of exhale, like, oh gosh, you're right. I've only been using the skill feedback to tell me if it was a good swing or not. I was like, that's what we got to get away from.
Yeah, and I think that we've harped on this probably, it feels like, for the last 5 or 6 episodes, but mainly because it's that time of year where people are ramping up and playing golf. And so I felt like it's the message is like, the swing is the shot. The swing gives you access to skills that produce the shots.
Yes.
And so you that's your gateway, so to speak. Now, we're working on plenty of swings these days. I'm going to tell you what, right now, there's plenty of swing work going on in our bays.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, if we don't understand where the shots come from, it's really hard, because then we start to go into this loop. And what I was even saying, like, I think our points are similar and on the same vein, but slightly different, because it's like, if I think that if I think the ball's going to the right because I'm, swinging to the right or something, I start swinging more, like, all these massive quote unquote swing changes, or I go Google, like, change my swing, fix the hook or fix it. And then I don't have the context of what's going on. So being able to really be able to judge yourself across some feedback levels, like, is my face open or closed? Is the low point, too far forward, too far back? Is it good? Am I, all those things help us, right?
Yeah.
But we don't, when we have a bad ball flight shape, think, I need to change the shape of my swing, like, right off the bat.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's too complex to do that. And people get, and this happened actually when I was dazed today, that in between lesson where I was like,
when in the day did this happen? Was this early afternoon?
It was late in the day. It was in my,
okay, well, that's good.
It was in my, trying to think. It was in my 1 o'clock lesson. And it happened like towards the end, probably like 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
So my 2 o'clock lesson, I'm talking about, I was a little dazed. And it was interesting because it takes me to my second misconception. But I'm not going to bring that up yet. But the fact is, he was, Eric, I'm making terrible contact. Okay, so at least he knows it's the skill that's going on, right? I'm just hitting it. I need to figure out what's going on. I'm making contact. I'm topping everything. I'm whatever. And I mean, he was standing up and swinging, and I didn't have the track man, but I guess his path was like 7 or 8 degree, right? With like, like hitting up on it and just thinning and shanking stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of working through the swing, and I'm like, we're swinging miles to the right. He goes, well, that's what I was trying to do. Right. So it's just like, something must have gone wrong. The Google machine lit up, and then all of a sudden that's, the thing he was trying to do was what's hurting him. And his handicap's gone up 4 strokes in 2 weeks. He plays like 4 days a week. Like, it was bad, like hitting it back for him from a 9 to a 13, like 50% increase in handicap. That feels like a lot.
That's a lot.
So we had to unwind that misconception for him All right, round fails. Anything else you want to add in the blame your swing misconception?
Yeah, no, I think very similar. I think yours is more towards the why the ball is doing what it's doing kind of thing. Whereas mine is more philosophical, like good and bad is
Right.
not the answer. It is what it is. What
Right.
just happened, right? And then is your golf swing allowing you to be skillful, right? And do you have a way of figuring out if it is or is not, right? And that's where the help of a coach comes in, oftentimes, right?
100%.
So that'd be my big one. What's
Cool.
your number
Okay.
2?
No, give me your number 2. I went first last time, so you lay it on me. Come on, number 2,
Yeah.
round fails.
Number 2, the idea of should.
The idea of
There
good.
is no should. There is no should. Should.
How about that? Did you like the Instagram video I sent?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I mean, have to, should, can't,
Have
must.
to, should, must. Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
All right, so enlighten us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's like I get this question all freaking day long. It's where should the ball be in my stance? Where should my hands be on the club? Where should I be aiming here? What shot should I be trying to hit? What club should I use here? And it's just always in this there is a correct or an incorrect type of thing. And that's the beauty of our game, right? There are so many options in terms of, there's really only like 4 main rules. It's like ball starts on the tee box, legal swings, play the ball as it lies, play the course as you found it, right? Most of the rules are when you can't do one of those 2, like last ones, right? And there's some etiquette stuff that you could say you probably should do in terms of just navigating the golf course and being someone that others want to play with, right? We can say should when it comes to that. And that's pretty much where it ends. The way that you get the ball from point A to point B, there is no should, right? It's, if you're standing over a shot and you're saying, all right, well, the math is telling me that I should do this, but in my heart of hearts, I just don't want to do it this way. I don't want to hit this shot. This is not how I want to do it. It's okay. Then don't do it. Right? Pick the shot that you want to hit, that you feel good about, that you're not going to regret the way you did it afterwards, and send it. Right?
Send it.
That's a huge, huge deal. We have a lot more margin for variability in terms of the way we stand, the way we hold it, the way we, again, the shot choices that we have. Like, there's just so many options that if we pencil ourselves in saying, okay, well, there's a correct that I'm trying to find, oftentimes it'll lead your attention in very non-relevant places. You start to say, okay, I've got to make sure everything is exactly perfect for me to be able to play the way I want. And that's just not a great place to be. I try to give golfers the understanding that you need to give yourself grace for these things to change. Like, you cannot say, all right, I'm going to set it and forget it. Right? You're human. You cannot repeat. You cannot step in the same river twice, so to speak. You've got to give yourself that ability to be flexible and portable with your skills. So when people say, how should I hold it? I typically say, well, I'll give you some ways that you could. Right? You could hold it this way, but you do not have to hold it this way. This is where the exploration comes in. This is like, okay, I currently believe that this is a good idea for me, but I'm going to keep testing. I'm going to keep trying out. I'm going to keep exploring. I'm going to keep figuring out what the best way is for me to go about this, because Lord knows, I mean, if you look at the Hall of Fame, like, it is littered with, like, quote unquote bad golf swings, right?
Yeah.
There is no should. That would be my number 2.
I like that one. And I would add to it, I mean, I think this lends to coaching as well. because
Yep.
I sent you this video. It was just, it's probably from the 80s or 90s, right? It's like nothing. But it's this big name golfer, what you call a Hall of Fame golfer, golf instructor, excuse me. And in the 30-second video, he said, to hit a good golf shot, you have to do this.
Have to.
And your left arm must do this. And this elbow has to do this. It can't do this. You can't do this. Your hip has to do this. And I was like watching it going, he really is convicted that he believes everything he says is true, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think for some people, the advice that he gives would definitely work, right? But at the end of the day, when you're going to play your best golf, and our philosophy would be, and a lot of teachers' philosophy would be, is that's indoctrination, and that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, right? I had one today where the face was open. Okay, your club face open and impact to the path, 13 degrees on average. Okay, newer golfer. And he had been playing fine. And then he kind of went away. He texted me from Florida, and he's like, man, I've added a stroke to every hole. He's like, I need help. So he came back in, and and I watched him, the face is just wide open, right? You could see it on the first few swings. And so what did we do? We explored some ways to get the clip face square, or to close it or lessen. And one of them was like, all right, new golfer, let's try to, maybe we'll strengthen the left-hand grip a little bit to see. So we explored that option. Let's try. Hey, I said, let's try something with your left-hand grip that could be maybe a potential answer. Guess what happened? It made it worse.
More open, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
you never know, right?
There's no textbook.
Yes.
You never know.
Textbook.
So he plays better. What's
giving you heart? You said textbook.
Textbook answer. I'm gonna keep going.
I'm sorry. I couldn't let that one slide.
Textbook. So
yes, we have no idea what's going to happen before it happens.
Correct. So there is no right. You could look in the textbook or Burke or whatever we said, and a stronger, more rotated, over grip could make the club face come in more closed.
Yes.
For him, it made it more open. Why? I don't really know. We hit a few.
Idea.
Clearly was uncomfortable for him. He didn't like it. Could be an anatomical, right? It doesn't matter. It just didn't work, right? So the point is, when you bring a student in, and what Robbie's not saying is, if you come and you're a beginner golfer, and someone says, hey, where's the ball position supposed to be? Robbie's not going to say, well, I don't have the answer for you. You're going to have to explore. I mean, you're going to give them a jumping off point. We're going to coach them up, right? And so that's like, you're helping them learn, but we didn't go to PGA school and they say, here's the grip, here's the stance, here's the ball position, here's the backswing, but there's a lot of very high ego people that teach that think they have all the answers. And this is one of the things that you have to determine as a student when you go find yourself a coach. Do you want a coach that tells you have to do this and you have to do this, you have to do this, and you can't do that, you can't do that? Or do you want one that's going to work with you, your capabilities, your limitations, your learning style, to try to find a way to draw out of you your best way to play golf? And that is going to start with exploration, options, and skill training and variability, all these things that we talk about. So I like that one, really. I like the way you framed that for this episode. There is no should. There's lots of coulds. And don't ever say can't. Don't ever say can't in my day. Oh, when people say can't, I'm like, please don't say can't.
Yeah.
All right. So my number two, moving right along. We can do a whole show on this, and maybe we will. We probably will. But I think social media feeds this one big time. Misconceptions around these two words, steep and shallow. And the biggest one being that one of them is better than the other one. I just told a story about how I worked hard with a player today to make their swing steeper. Right? Because
Yep.
We're so shallow.
100%.
I would
Absolutely.
say that probably in the steep and shallow story, which I don't stand there all day saying terms steep and shallow, because most people have
Nobody,
no
yeah,
idea what you're talking about, because you
makes
could be
no sense. Yeah.
referring to a lot of stuff. But for the most part, I work on the quote unquote steepening equally as much as I do shallowing, I would say, with people. And this notion that everything has to be shallow has actually just kept me really busy, because it screws up as many people as being steep. And I don't,
Yeah.
it just is what it is.
Yeah.
It is misinterpreting, or it's just, they're going to work for the person. So
Yep.
I think that if I were a golfer trying to get better, trying to improve, I don't think I'd worry about steep and shallow at all. I don't think it would be on my mind.
Agreed.
I think I would let
agree.
it go. I think it would just let it go. Say, okay, we're going to make a bold statement on the Golf Intervention Podcast today, people. Let it go. Steep and shallow, let it go. Doesn't it feel good? Take a breath.
It feels great.
Shallow is not better. Let it go. Let it out. Shallow is not better. Man, I feel better.
I already feel better.
What do you think?
But legitimately, like, I think that it just gets flushed out when we do skill different training, to be honest with you.
100% agree. Yep.
It's like, all right, if the bottom of your golf swing is to the right, and then in our efforts to get it too far left, the shaft pitch changes or whatever, then great. Cool. Sounds great. Right? If the bottom swing's too far in front of the ball, like to the left relative to the golfer, like as the golfer looks at the golf ball, to their left, closer to the target. And we're just exploring moving that bottom of the swing arc further to the right or further to the left, and the shaft pitch changes. Great. Fantastic. Right? But it's just not super relevant a lot of times. I think the word shallow when it comes to like backswing, downswing geometry is really describing a research topic from Dr. McKenzie that actually isn't very easy to see. It's easier to feel, right? Especially if you do some rhythm stuff, if you do some single arm drills, if you do some things like that, like much easier to feel that relationship than it is to see it. And a lot of times, like, you could be creating this nice relationship and it look quote unquote steep. You could be not creating that relationship and it look quote unquote shallow. So to me, it's like, well, what's the point? Like, why are we putting our attention on the geometry of the shaft pitch? Really, it doesn't move the needle for me much.
Let it go. Let it go,
Yep.
golfers. Let it go. And the term just gets thrown around in way too many things. So to me, like, okay, the pitch of the shaft is what you're referring to, right? Like some angle of the shaft.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's steep. Well, I don't know. I'd call that upright or maybe flatter, or, is it shallow or steep? To me, shallow and steep has a lot to do with, how the club is moving at impact. Like, it has nothing to do with the shaft pitch, right? So like some people are very steep with the quote unquote shaft pitch early in the downswing. And those are people that end up being so shallow at impact.
Very shallow with the attack angle. Yeah.
Correct. So an upward attack angle, I would refer to as shallow, right? And downward attack angle would be steeper. That's my opinion. Into outswing direction or path for a right-hander would be, in my opinion, more shallow, right? Or out to in is probably steeper, but that's not a great descriptor either. So I don't even use it, right? I just use that was more up or more down or more in to out or more out to in, right? And the shaft pitch geometry is just, it's a little bit of a waste of time to even look at. I think it's so heavily influenced by Instagram because people can show something and draw lines on it, and it just gets confusing. And the fact that like people are showing Justin Rose's pre-shot routine and being like, everyone should do this. Don't turn in the downswing and drop your arms straight down. Like, okay, that's going to keep me busy for a while in the teaching bay too. I can't wait to see that. I guess that just goes into the other stuff we always talk about, but you can't oversimplify this game in a lot of ways, right? Like, don't try to do it. Don't try to It's just golf. Find a good coach, take a lesson. Don't talk about shaft pitch. Life will be good. I think that's all I have to say. All right.
Sorry.
Number 3. I can't decide which number 3 I want to do. I have 4 just in case you and I overlapped. But you have a good number 3? You want to do your number 3 next?
Yeah, I got a solid one.
Okay, you do your number 3. I'll decide.
It's grip pressure versus tension. Right? So this is a big one recently, right? Because typically in my lessons, we'll start off depending on kind of where they're at with either skill or swing stuff. If we start with swing stuff, which if I've got a beginner or someone who hasn't played a lot, a lot of times we're starting with swing stuff. We're saying, okay, how can we hold it? How can we stand? How can we get this club swinging and rotating around us, right? In a nice general rhythm that we can develop skill off of, right? And the biggest barrier to that I see is excess tension in the surrounding the wrist, surrounding the forearms and elbows, surrounding the shoulders, right? So really, like if I were to go in there and grab the club and try to move them around, very difficult to move the club. What's very interesting with those same people, though, is that when I look at their grips, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of air, there's a lot of gapping between the hands and the club. So like you could literally get you could see where there could be some motion between the grip itself and the hands during the swing. Like literally the grip can move in the hands during the swing.
Oh yeah,
these people.
I see it all day long.
Right? So I would say they have an excess of tension with not enough grip pressure, right? So what we want to actually get the club very secured in the fingers, right? So where there's no gapping, there's no space, there's no air, there's no way for the club to move relative to the hand between the backswing and impact, right? Because it impacted, if you hit the toe or heel, it's going to move around a little bit, obviously. But if I were to go in there for these golfers, again, it's very secure. So I cannot possibly take the club out of their hands. But if I try to move them, there's no resistance. I can easily just pick up their arms and they fall down like dead weight. I can move the club in any which way possible. And there's no strain whatsoever. So they're tension free, but they've got appropriate grip pressure. Now, I'm not talking about squeezing the life out of it. I'm also not talking about I don't think you can actually hold it like a baby bird either. Like that's garbage too, right? So have it, hold it tight enough, hold it secure enough to where it doesn't move around in your fingers, but then give me as little tension as possible around the wrist, around the forearm, around the elbow, around the shoulder, right? Because we want them swinging freely. We do not want it to be steered. So that would be my number 3.
I like it. I've been working on my grip strength recently. For probably like a year actually. I have, like a squeezy thing that I use. And then I've been doing dead weight body hangs that really help me kind of do it on for a minute and off for 30 seconds. You're trying to increase your grip pressure. And I've been doing some resistance training, which helps too. But I can feel when my hands get stronger. And I think that grip strength is something we don't discuss enough probably in golf. There's a lot of things we discuss in golf, and grip strength is one. But I can tell when my hands are weaker. I don't play as good at golf at all. Yeah. And I think it plays into what you're talking about is I'm able to support that club with a strong grip that's not creating tension through the, and it just lends to control. I mean, if you shake hands with a tour player, it feels like you've never shaken hands with a tour player where they feel like they have a weak grip. Like their wrists and hands, even the LPGA tour, shake hands with it. Obviously I'm friends with one, but what's the name? Austin Ernst, is that one? Austin Ernst, is that her name? Anyway, PXG player. She was out playing one day at CCV, and just met her on the range, shook her hand. I'm like, gracious, they're just strong. You cannot be really good at golf without strong hands. And so, to your point, there's this misconception around you don't want to be floppy. You want to be strong.
No. Yep.
It's an interesting one. I think it's a point well noted.
It's free. It's free from the basically from the wrist out, right? I
but
do not want the
strong in the
club moving
hands.
around your hands. Yep,
Mhm.
fingers are secured, but like I would even say like the hand can be soft. Like you can have relatively like up here as I'm looking at the camera here, like up here can be relatively tension free,
Yeah.
but like fingers and heel pad up against that's solid. That's not going anywhere.
So apparently around the Masters time, John Daly, I don't know why this went viral, but at least 5 people asked me about this.
Is
John
this your number
Daly,
3?
no, this is part of what you were saying. This is part of
Okay.
yours. John Daly did some thing where he said, some clip must have gone around TikTok or something, where he said, people get fit for clubs all the time, but they always play the wrong size grip because no one gets fit for grips. Nobody. And I had like 4 people, not CCV people. This was like, friend of mine at church and like somebody like, how come no one gets fit for grips? I said, I fit people for grips every club fitting, you get fit for their grip size. But to your point, like a lot of men play grips that are way too small, in my opinion. And then the club is moving around in there. So much space in there.
Yeah.
Like I've been actually putting some people in the big, like Bryson grips.
Cool.
There's been some study around that recently. The oversized grip can actually lead to more speed. And I wonder if it's what you're talking about. Like I can get it in there and secure it and kind of put a good firm grip on it. But
I can see that.
But I can keep my rest of my body loose by doing it. So I put some jumbo max on this dude. Like he was playing midsize, which was fine, but he's 6'3", and he wore an XL glove and it was small on him. It was like kind of tight. And I'm like, bro, hold this. I just had a jumbo max on a random 9 iron in the so people could feel it. And he was like, oh my gosh. And I ordered him a set. We put him on and he said, it's changed his game. Completely changed his game. And I'm like, well,
that's awesome.
Grip size, huge. So yes.
It's cool. Yeah.
I would argue with John Daly on this one. People definitely get fit for grip size. I mean, every fitting we do. We do a lot of fittings, we fit for grip size. So that is it. Okay, number 3. This one's kind of general, so this could take a little while, but there's so many misconceptions around speed. Okay, starting with things like, and we say this all the time, like you and I will hear, oh, I know my problem is I'm quote unquote swinging too fast. Or I need to really slow my backswing because I know that's going to help me.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's the ticket. Just make the same crappy rhythm slower. That's great.
Rhythm is a big discussion when it comes to that, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
So, yeah, so many misconceptions around speed. And then even when people are trying to get more speed, how they're doing that can be a big misconception too.
Yeah.
So I would say that the one I see the most is, I know I'm swinging too fast. So I think the feel of that for people is this sense of like kind of losing control and losing the rhythm in their swing. So I think
correct. 100%.
Correct. So do me a favor, Robbie, because I think you do this really well. You do this much better than I do. Describe to the podcast listener the difference between tempo, speed, and rhythm. Please.
Yeah.
Please do.
All right, buckle up. So tempo is the overall amount of time in the swing. All right. So we're going to use a different like syllable counts as a good comp for this. So if I were to make a golf swing with a 1 syllable amount of time, right? So my backswing is going to be John. My entire downswing and follow through is going to be Rum. So the amount of time it takes to say John, the amount of time it takes to say Rum is the duration of time in the backswing, and then the duration of time in the downswing. So both words, John backswing, Rum downswing, and follow through. Now, if I go to a 2 syllable, right? If we used driver, driver, More time, that's a different tempo, right? You could say it's a quote unquote, this is why I don't like using faster or slower when we're talking about tempo. It's just more time or less, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different tempo. And then typically, then we go to 3 syllables. I use Virginia, right? Different tempo, more time. All right. So that's important distinction number 1. All right. So just for someone who says, okay, faster tempo, slower tempo, just understand, okay, faster tempo is less time, slower tempo is just more time. All right. Rhythm is the pattern of time. So is your backswing and then entire downswing and follow through relatively matched? Are they slightly different in one way or another? What is that ratio? In my experience, when the rhythm is fairly free, tension free, when it is uninhibited, those 2 time frames tend to match up ish, right? It's not going to be perfect.
Correct.
But they're close-ish, right? So when you go Virginia and then cat, okay, that's what I see most of the day.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not even Virginia. It's usually California cat, right? It's typically what I see. That would be a different rhythm. That would be kind of a very off, what I call like an off time rhythm. Typically that's very steered. That's very tight. That's very tense. You're very much grabbing the club, forcing it to the ball, things of that nature that we don't like to see. So again, the rhythm, I use the word kind of freedom, rhythm, kind of the overall pattern of time, right? Speed, if we're talking about it, is measured in clubhead speed at the ball. So I want you to think of this more as a total quantity of energy, not necessarily the tempo, because this is what most people do. They equate, okay, I got to swing faster by increasing the speed of the tempo, which is just less time. So then they go from Virginia to driver cat, trying to get more clubhead speed at the bottom.
Right.
And in doing so, they give themselves less time, probably not that much different swing, like from a swing size standpoint, quite a bit shorter swing a lot of times. And so they end up actually having less energy at the golf ball, less momentum at the golf ball. They're trying to swing faster, but the club is actually decreasing, like the amount of momentum the ball is getting from the club at impact is decreasing. So what we're really looking for is we're looking for an amount of force. So again, let's talk about let's use like a 3-syllable word as an analogy here. So let's say someone's backswing was energy and then their entire downswing was energy, right? So more or less is just the amount of work, the amount of force that you're putting into that, essentially that first syllable. So in any swing, in like a quote unquote true swing, like you're creating some force into the club early, and then you're allowing that force to become momentum that swings back and then back into the golf ball. So the more force you put into that initial syllable, the further it's going to travel and the faster it's going to travel. That's why the time stays the same. If I give it less force, it's going to go slower, but it's also not going to go as far. So the time is going to be the same. I'm going to be Virginia for a 40-yard pitch shot, Virginia for an 150-yard iron shot, and then Virginia for a 300-yard drive. I'm just putting more force, more work into that early part of the swing, and then I'm allowing that force to become momentum that stretches my body and swings my arms and rotates the club back and then back down into the golf ball. So just to review, tempo is time, amount of time. The rhythm is the pattern of time. What we're looking for in clubhead speed and the feedback when we see the ball speed is an amount of momentum, and it's an amount of energy. It's like, how much water are you pouring into the bucket? Do you have 5 pounds of water in the bucket? Do you have 10 pounds of water in the bucket? Right? That's what we're looking for. That water, that amount of momentum is accumulated over time. So you can think of, okay, I'm either going to be very much a one-syllable golfer, which is like, imagine like you're going from a fire hose, so it's a rush of water for a shorter amount of time. Or I'm going to go like from my kitchen faucet, for a longer period of time. That's my 3-syllable, right? But it's, right, how much water is actually getting in that bucket could be the same in either, right? And you can change them for either way that you're organizing that. It's just the difference in the amount of force you're putting into kind of that first syllable.
Yeah. So I think that going back to the misconception, because it's beautifully described, right? So if you listen to that and have a little tough time visualizing, just rewind it and listen to it again, because it makes total sense. And people use those terms, like another misconception, like tempo, rhythm, it's all over the place, speed, fast, quick, whatever. So here's the main misconception, right? People feel this mispatterning of their rhythm, and then they define that as I'm swinging too fast, right?
Correct.
So then what do? So then in your syllable explanation, it might be like a 1-2 half, it's like a, it's or a 1-2-3-1 is probably another way to say it, right? Like you were just describing. So what do? They slow the backswing down. Guess what that does? It makes it worse. It makes it worse. Okay. So I spend more time speeding people's backswings up than I do slowing their backswings down. There's no question
100%.
about that. It is very rare for someone to come in and for me to tell them, we can explore slowing the backswing now. Almost never happens. Sometimes I'm putting.
Totally. But like, I can tell you the research that was done on this by Dr. Bob Grober, he found that 90-ish% of PGA Tour pros were from 3 syllables to 1. So when you think about Virginia, that's 3 syllables. There are so many golfers that come to my lesson tee that aren't even close to 3 syllables, that are like 4 syllables, 5 syllables, 6 syllables in the backswing. And now they don't have any momentum because it's really hard. Just think about sitting on a swing set. All right. My favorite analogy is, imagine you're on a swing set, right? You're giving that a good initial push, and then at some point you got to get your hands off and let it swing freely. What happens if that initial push, if you don't get enough force into that initial push? Well, what happens is you got to go, right? You never actually get the opportunity to take your hands off the wheel, right? You have to keep your hands on that child the whole way up, and then now it's not swinging. At this point, you just got to grab it, pull this thing back down, and that's what people feel when like, oh, I'm getting quick, right? My swing's too fast. What they're feeling is no momentum. I'm just up in space. I've just changed orientations. The club is now just somewhere over there. When it was out in front of me, now it's just somewhere else in space. I have no energy built up in the system. Now I just got to kind of find it in a very, very, very short amount of time. And by the way, that energy is usually directed to the ball and towards the target, which is what we know in terms of the direction that force that we want to be applied is actually hopefully going in the other direction, right? We do not want to be pulling the grip toward the ball and toward the target, right? We actually want that force, when that club has momentum, it's kind of moving back toward the target. That force is going actually away from the target. And then it's the momentum of the club that swings into the ball and toward the target. It's not you forcing it to the ball or toward the target. So that's tough to visualize. I don't
but
expect
it makes
y'all to. But
I think it was a great illustration. I really do. And I think people will get that to 100%.
Yeah.
And if you really want to see the best, I think, at this, watch Rory McIlroy swing.
Ludwig.
Watch how much energy he puts into his initial takeaway. I mean, his backswing tempo is extremely fast. I mean, you don't see it because it's such a beautiful rhythm.
It's a 2-syllable.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
but it's a beautiful rhythm. But he has so much speed right from the takeaway, and he captures that really well. Probably
Oh
the
yeah.
best. I mean, it's just so cool. I mean, you have to be great at that if you're going to be 130 club speed at 5'9". I mean, that guy is
Yes.
so good, so powerful, and it was a great. So, if you are someone that thinks you swing too fast, here's an actionable takeaway: start saying some syllables in your swing. Right. What I have found with the help of Rob Fales and some of the study that he's done with, on this, is that when you get this right, your contact improves like dramatically. And to the point where I would say one of the largest drivers of good contact in the swing is actually rhythm. And we wouldn't think of it that way. A lot of times we think of it, oh, it's my left arm bending, or I'm moving on the ball, or I'm, whatever it is, right? All the stuff, all the swing stuff.
Are you swinging freely? Is the club actually swinging, right?
Correct.
But
Correct. So
you can knock that domino over, so many other dominoes from the skill standpoint start to kind of fall in line.
And I know you and I are not big swing trainer people, but I do think the Orange Whip does a very good job of doing this for a lot of people. So that is something, if you have an Orange Whip, you can really train the rhythm of your swing for sure. But speed, which I guess people are referring to as too fast, it's like you were saying, it's just the club, what it's measured right before impact. And you can get a lot of speed from 1 syllables and 2 syllables and 3 syllables, and in that
no correlation as far as that
again
goes.
John Rome is a 1. He's a boom boom. Nick Price was a 1, boom boom, and they smashed it, right?
Totally.
And then you got Freddie Couples, who's one of the longest of all time. That was clearly a 3, maybe even more than. Well, no, I haven't really looked at Freddie, but VJ said it would be that way too.
Totally. Like, I recommend just exploring it, right? I would not try to change the syllables to try to change anything like ball flight wise. Like, that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because, all right, at a certain tempo, at a certain amount of time, a certain syllable count, it feels freer to you. It feels like you would want to do that for 18 holes or 36 holes, and you feel like you could do it more consistently without getting tired or without it changing much. All right, that's why you're doing it, because it doesn't really matter. The ball doesn't know what syllable count you are. The ball knows where the bottom of the swing goes in space, the face, and the speed, right? You're going to layer skill on top of that stuff. Just pick the one that feels the freest to you, the one that feels the most like you're getting the most bang for your buck. Like, for what you're putting into it, you're getting the most out of it, essentially.
Awesome advice there, Rob Fales. Well, anything else you wanted to add today? Anything interesting?
No, I think we. Well, how are your fantasy teams?
Are
you making some trades? Are you making moves?
No, I've traded all my picks in this year's draft, so I don't have anything to really look forward to. Unfortunately, I don't really pay attention to the draft.
I'm so fired up! It's tomorrow.
Which is fine. It is tomorrow.
It's the most wonderful time of the year for us Dynasty players.
It is. I do have an aim point thing to bring up, though.
Okay, cool.
I was talking to my friend who plays. She's playing senior LPGA events, and I would say she's easily a top 15 senior female player in the world, based on her results, right? And she learned aim point from Brian, your buddy, last year.
Yes.
She was a great putter on the LPGA tour, like one of the best putters, and never learned aim point. We're going to have her on the pod for sure. I'm just going to make her come on. She'll do it. She's got really cool things to tell. Anyway, when you're that good at golf, like, you're fun to talk to, right? So she's prepping right now for some big tournaments, and she's so good at aim. Like, her aim point is just, she works on it every day. It is so good. She worked with Mark Sweeney on at least 5 times and could never understand it and just didn't get it because she read so well with her eyes at the time. And then as her eyes had some issues, like, she was all in. So what she told me was, she goes, I spend half the time reading greens that I used to. Yeah. She said, it's so much faster, it's not even funny. And aim point gets all this bad rap. Like, we all watched Justin Rose at the Masters take like 4 minutes to hit a putt. Brandon Poimoffs. Like, it was
Yeah.
hard to watch. That was not aim point. I mean, he did some aim point, but he read it with his eyes, and he, and then he missed, by the way. And so I just put it out there, like, they never showed Ludwig Oberg much, but there was some like highlight
Ludwig's
reels.
the best.
He is so fast. It's probably 15 seconds. He reads a putt.
He is doing aim point. He's doing stock, the right standard aim point.
Correct. So if you want to know what aim point is, watch Ludwig Oberg, because he does it exactly right every time.
Yes.
Step by step. Perfect. And he reads a green and putts. I mean, it's within 20 seconds, I would say. It is so fast.
It is glorious.
It is so fun to watch.
I love Ludwig.
And that's the way I've been putting.
Player.
He's moving up my board fast. I mean, that guy's he's a cyborg, man. Like, he's so cool. And he's meant for golf. But I was asking her how many women she got, like, that play in the senior U.S. Open stuff, because she's playing against Annika and Julie Inkster. It's like that group, right? She said there's probably 5 total that she could figure.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? I think it's just
it's just they just
But she's so in. It's so cool to talk to her about it, because she's like,
that's
and
awesome.
she can putt. So you watch her read, it's like really, really cool. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. Like, I had someone today, and I just love aim points. So I'm just bringing it up again. A new golfer that was learning it, and they're just like first putting lesson. And the fact that he could have an idea of what the putt was supposed to do and then judge himself off of it just made it so much fun for him. And he got better so fast. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've tried to practice putting multiple times in the last year and a half. I spend like 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know what I'm doing, so I just leave. Right. He never had any way to. And he had drills to do. I mean, I've given him drills of like, but he would do it. He'd say, I just hit it. It was like I was hitting it into the ocean. I had no idea what I was doing.
And
so all of a sudden, once you can read and then have yourself to judge yourself off too, it was really, really cool. So anyway, I just thought I'd add that. It's just one of those topics you and I talk about a lot. And I'm just a huge proponent of it.
I don't know how to teach putting or green reading without it, honestly.
Yeah, and the whole
like
push.
If someone comes to me like, hey, Rob, like, can you teach me how to read greens? And I'm not gonna do aim point. I'm gonna be like, what?
The old dump the water cup on the green.
I don't know, man. I don't think I'm gonna. I just might not do it. I'll just be like, sorry.
I don't know what I would say, because it feels so disingenuous at this point.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, that is our show for today. We thank you for tuning in. Rob Fales, thank you as always for joining me. It's fun for us. We do this as a hobby. We're just glad y'all tuned in. Listen to what we have to say from time to time. It's pretty fun. Send us a message if you'd like. Send us an email, thegolfintervention@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of the show. Find us on Substack, thegolfintervention.substack.com. Don't look for golf tips from us, because we don't do them. So don't look for them. Ain't happening.
Nope.
We put some content on Substack, but at the end of the day, I think you know why we don't put golf tips out there. But we appreciate you tuning in. We hope you have a great week. We hope your golf season's off to a great start. Anything else you'd like to add here, Rob?
Nope. Enjoy the better weather, everyone.
NFL draft tomorrow. Get an update on the next episode.
Where's Genty going?
Hi. He's going. Hey.
Top 10? You think he's going top 10?
I would take him. He's that good. We'll see.
I think the Bears are gonna trade up and get him. That's my prediction.
Wow. What a prediction.
They're gonna get him. They're gonna get him at like 5 or 6 maybe.
Guess we'll see. Generational talent. All right. Thank you all.
That's right.
Next time on the Golf Intervention. Take care.
Cheers.